Welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday, October the 14th. This is Hurricane Hub Live. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages here on 13 News Now. Plus, tonight on HHL, we've got Lorenzo, tropical storm out there in the Atlantic Basin that is struggling to stay as a tropical storm. Latest update I'll share with you in just a moment. And there is some long-range model interest in another tropical wave, pretty much coming in right behind Lorenzo, but taking a lower latitude trajectory of it maybe entering the Caribbean next week and being something to monitor. We're not going to go too into the weeds on this because it's so far out in time, but I will show you the long-range models to kind of give you a feel for something that could possibly be on the horizon in the next 7 to 10 days. And in the Eastern Pacific, we are now much quieter. Last week, we had 3 named storms out there at the same time. This evening, there is not a single named storm out in the Eastern Pacific, just an area of interest to possibly become a named storm in the next 7 days or so. The Atlantic Basin, there is not much going on. This right there is Lorenzo. Really struggling, and it does not look like a tropical storm by any means, and it's barely hanging on to that status. 39 miles per hour or greater is considered a tropical storm. We're sitting at 40 at this time. You remember last night we got up to 60 miles per hour. So it has greatly diminished in intensity and is moving to the northwest at 12. And you can see here off to the north another trough of low pressure that's probably going to start to tear it apart. So it's not going to be hanging on for much longer. The extended forecast on this as of 5 o'clock, not gaining any intensity as it moves towards the north. Still maybe a tropical storm by tomorrow afternoon, maybe not at the pace it's going at, and then becoming a tropical depression or even remnant low by later on this week. So certainly not one to remember, and it's way out in the middle of the Atlantic, not impacting anybody at all. Kind of similar to what we saw with Karen. Will be around for a little while longer than Karen was, and also Karen was a subtropical storm in the North Atlantic that didn't affect anybody either. Now, it's this tropical wave here that came off the coast of Africa maybe 36 hours ago, just south of the Cabo Verde Islands. See, it's a very broad, very robust tropical wave. And this one, the trajectory on that does take it farther to the south, lower latitude, and farther to the west, potentially in the long range here. So I'm going to show you the comparison between the GFS and the European model. I'm just going to let it play on out for the next 10 days. We really have to wait until we get towards the 8, 9, 10-day time frame before we start to see some sort of generalized area of low pressure developing here, which both the models are kind of indicating. Way out, though. 10 days out from now, October the 24th. And if you go out even farther, which I'm not going to go out farther from here, but if you look at it on any of the sites that have the model data available, especially the GFS last couple runs, although on this, when you go out 360 hours or longer, you can't really depend on that being the outcome. It will change significantly. But the last couple runs have been indicating a intensifying storm drifting to the north, maybe impacting Cuba, and then maybe up into the Bahamas. Again, long ways out, but both European and GFS have something cooking in the Caribbean, probably 8 days out from now. A lot can change. A lot will change, but I just want to draw your attention to that. Climate Prediction Center, it is Tuesday, so they issued their long-range outlooks. This is the 2-week outlook, putting us through that time frame that you saw there on the models out to the 24th. So this is 22nd to the 28th. Pretty pronounced signal there for the Caribbean. And keep in mind, this part of the basin has been untapped so far this season. Pretty much the Gulf as well, with the exception of Barry that made landfall in Mexico early in the season as a weak tropical storm. That's been it in the Gulf, and there's been no named storms at all in the Caribbean. So very warm, very deep water. Still, even this time of the year, still very warm, still very deep water there that could possibly help to develop, possibly intensify rapidly a system if it does make it in there, and especially with nothing going on in the Eastern Pacific. Won't be any increased wind shear in the basin, in the Caribbean at least. So just something to watch there. Put it on your radar out in the future. Out in the Eastern Pacific, there is this tropical wave here that's scooting on by, probably a product of the gyre. It's still ongoing in that general area, a spindle of energy kind of getting ejected out into the Eastern Pacific. Moderate chances of this developing over the next couple of days. And so far, East Pac has been cranking out storms. That would be the 18th. We're sitting at 17 now. Atlantic is creeping up to close to a normal season, which would be 14 named storms. We may get there. Next name on the list is Melissa. We've had 4 hurricanes, 3 majors. Now in the East Pac, there's been 9 hurricanes, and just a third of those have become major hurricanes so far. Of course, the season's got another 6 weeks to go in the Atlantic Basin all the way through November 30, so we'll see what plays out. All right, after a quick break, we're going to break down tropical trivia. I've got the answer from yesterday's and a brand new question. We've also got a little story to share with you as well. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. Now, in the event of a hurricane, it's important that you and your family are prepared. In today's Hurricane Fast Fact, meteorologist Craig Moeller explains FEMA's three-step communication plan.
FEMA recommends a three-step approach to implementing a communication plan. First, collect. Make a paper copy of the contact information for family members, workplaces, schools, medical facilities, doctors, and service providers. You'll also want to pick an out-of-town contact. After a hurricane strikes a region, it may be easier to get a long-distance call to another part of the country than it is to make a call across town. You should also designate an emergency meeting place in your neighborhood and one outside your neighborhood in case family members are separated and cannot reach each other. Next, share. Everyone in your family should carry a copy of this contact list in their purse, wallet, or backpack. FEMA also recommends you post a copy in a central location in your home, like on the refrigerator. Finally, practice. Have regular household meetings to review and practice your plan.
All right, time for tropical trivia. The question I posed to you yesterday is, where did the deadliest U.S. hurricane of the 20th century make landfall? Was it in Charleston, South Carolina, New Orleans, Galveston, or Key West? The answer, the Great Galveston Hurricane of 1900. September 8th, 1900, and that killed an estimated 8,000 to 10,000 folks on Galveston Island, one of the worst natural disasters in U.S. history. All right, tonight's question is, what's the deadliest U.S. hurricane of the 21st century so far? Is it Irma, Katrina, Sandy, or Isabel? I'll have the answer for you tomorrow night on Hurricane Hub Live. A reminder, for the foreseeable future, we are on here 7 nights a week at 8 o'clock for the latest on the tropics. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.